Hi everyone, welcome back. It's another episode with Dr. Ellert. It's just a great way sometimes for me to make a quick video and just remind you of a few things coming up. The biggest thing that is coming up is our persuasive speech. And I know I've said this a couple times, but I've given you a lot of time on it, and the reason that I've done that is because it's worth 30% of your grade. So I want that time to be used to draft out an outline and start researching and filling in the outline or changing and adapting as you realize things aren't working like you'd like them to. But today what I'd like to talk about is the motivated sequence, which is the organizational pattern that you'll use for this speech. And I've chosen this organizational pattern because I just happen to be a huge fan of it. I use it all the time in communication with people, mostly in emails, but sometimes even in oral, just conversations with folks. Just trying to help highlight, there's a problem that needs to be solved. Here's a solution, and why don't we take action on it? So there's 5 steps to the motivated sequence, which you've probably read by now, but I'd like to just go over them really quickly. The first is your attention step. And this is where you're really just trying to make sure you grab the listener's attention. You start out by asking a question or using a fear appeal or using a startling statistic, something that will really focus their attention in on this issue. And you try to make it relevant for your listeners. So why should they care about this problem? And then you move on to the need step. And the need step is essentially, what is the problem that needs to be solved? And you're trying to paint a picture of why this is really a big issue. Then you move on to the satisfaction step, which is how you satisfy the need or satisfy the problem. And so with this, you are trying to outline what is the solution that you're suggesting, what are the benefits to this solution, are there any objections to this solution that you might need to address? And so you're really trying to flesh out what that solution is. Then you move on to the visualization step. And this is where you ask the audience to visualize a future where your satisfaction or the solution to the problem has been implemented. So that means it's a much better future out there. Or you're asking them to visualize just how bad the future could be if we don't take action, if we don't do something like the solution that you've proposed. Or you can even compare and contrast. So you might present, here's how negative it could end up if we do nothing, but if we implement the solution, then here's how great it will be. So compare and contrast can always be a really good option there. And then finally is your action step. And this is where you're trying to make a specific request of the audience. So this is where you ask them to volunteer or to donate money or to do more research or to decline plastic straws at restaurants. Whatever it is, it's a very specific, doable act. So I say that because if you're saying something, if you're talking about the way you want to change the world, and so you want people to go out on a boat for, a couple months and try to clean up the oceans, that's not as doable as, the solution that I just mentioned of just declining straws at restaurants. So you want to be very specific, you want to summarize everything, you want to really you can't make anyone do anything, but you want to help your audience want to move forward with what it is you're suggesting, and you're providing some specifics. So, for example, if I wanted my audience to volunteer, I'm going to tell them where it is I want them to volunteer, what day, what time, or who they can contact for more information. And I'm giving them those specifics instead of just making it a vague action request. So if you haven't taken the opportunity to do the motivated sequence discussion forum, that's okay. But please take time to outline this yourself. And my suggestion is outline those 5 steps and then use that to fill in what the rest of your outline will look like. And so I'm gonna read to you an old example of something that I've written using the motivated sequence. And so this is actually over 10 years ago, so please pardon pardon the age, I just didn't have time to update it. But I use this to try to encourage folks to get involved with Relay for Life. I'm going to try to not get emotional because this does include some personal information, so please hang with me. Please don't judge. Here we go. It was estimated that 1,372,910 new cancer cases would occur in 2005, according to the American Cancer Society website. I was surprised when this statistic hit home last year. In September 2005, my husband was diagnosed with brain cancer and is currently undergoing chemotherapy to fight the disease. Although I would love to continue this plea by pulling on your heartstrings about my husband, the fact is he is far from being alone in the fight against cancer. The sobering truth about cancer is that cancer is the leading cause of death in the U.S., with cancer causing 1 out of 4 deaths. Luckily, a doctor in Tacoma, Washington, realized the severity of cancer and in 1985 started Relay for Life. He spent 24 hours circling a track, walking 83 miles. He raised $27,000 to fight cancer. Relay for Life is now a celebration of cancer survivors. It represents the hope that those lost to cancer won't be forgotten and that those who face cancer will be supported, and that one day cancer will be eliminated, again according to the American Cancer Society website. The funds raised during Relay for Life aid the American Cancer Society in research, education, patient services, and advocacy for cancer patients. The services provided by the American Cancer Society continue to be important even as survival rates are improving. Again, according to the American Cancer Society website, the 5-year relative survival rate for all cancers diagnosed between 1995 and 2000 is 64%, up from 50% in 1974 through 1976, due in part to progress in early detection and improved or new treatments. Imagine how the survival rate can increase with more funds to support early detection and new treatments. You can help my husband and millions like him who have been diagnosed with cancer to receive treatment and support. By donating to Relay for Life, you will help in the fight against the #1 killer in the U.S. Any donation you make to Bill or me or any participant walking on a team this year is greatly appreciated. We will proudly be walking during Relay for Life, April 21st through the 22nd, to support cancer survivors, victims, and current patients. We'd be grateful if you could make a donation to the cause. Whew. I thought I would get emotional. Excuse me. The sad ending to this story is my husband passed away several years ago. But he's not the only one. Many of you have probably been touched by cancer in some way. So, if I were giving a speech, this might be the topic that I would choose. Although, I always caution my students to try to stay away from something that would cause them to cry in the middle of a speech, much like I've just done with you. So it's something you really need to care about, but also something that you need to be able to maintain your composure. So you can speak with passion, but that you know you're not going to fall apart. Because I will tell you, when I was about to do this video and I was a little worried that I might cry on video, it made me a little nervous, which means during your speech it's going to be the same type of thing. You're going to have that anxiety and that stress, and well, it might just make you more nervous. And this semester, of course, we're trying to work on alleviating your anxiety. So this about wraps it up. I just wanted to highlight the importance of that motivated sequence and what you can be doing to prepare for your persuasive speech and to provide you with an example. I had more information there at the end that was going to tell them exactly where they could go to get more information about Relay for Life, but once I lost my composure there, I had a hard time continuing. Please be sure to reach out with questions. Remember, we have the frequently asked questions forum in the discussion forum area, so sometimes your peers can jump in before I can. So, take advantage of all the resources that are available to you. I look forward to hearing more about your speeches and, of course, hearing your speeches in several weeks. Your due date for your speech is November 12th. So we're less than a month away. Please be working on it. Please be lining up your audience for at least a few days before that due date so you don't end up with them flaking on you at the last minute, which I know happened to a few of you. And reach out with questions. I'm here for you. I look forward to it. Talk to you later.